Welcome to zebracode.io, a free coding curriculum for high school students in schools. We're going to open up a command prompt with CMD that allows us to open up the Windows application, a command prompt, and that opens up this command prompt. And here I can type Python, and I'm running Python 3.6, and I'm at the Python command prompt here. And so to do some basic introductions, let's do x is equal to 1, and then we can use the type command, and type is an integer because we have now set a variable x equal to 1. Let's try to make x equal to 1.0. Now Python is dynamically typed, and now if I do the type of x, I get a float value. Because Python is dynamically typed, that means it's attempting to make the best guess of what x is based on what the user has entered. Now, if I enter 1, it's an integer. If I enter 1.0, it's a float. And if I put 1.0 in double quotation marks or single quotation marks, it becomes a string, as we can see here by using the type command. So let's do type equals to true. And notice, now before we do true, let's do a lowercase true, T-R-U-E. And here I get an error because true, as we recall, must be large uppercase. For true or false, they must start with uppercase. Now if I do x equals true and I do type of x, I get class is boolean because this is a boolean. It evaluates either true or false. And so whenever we do x equals input, enter a whatever it is, we're telling in this case the user to enter a number, the value that the user enters is stored in the variable x. But what is x, or what type is x? So I'm entering a number here, 12.14, and if I do a type of x, I get the value of string. Now, instead of being a float value, this is a string because anything coming in through the input command from the user is going to be a string. And now I can convert it now to an integer, or I can convert it to a float. I can say x is assigned the value of float of x, and now I've taken the value, which initially was a string, and I've converted it to a float. And if I do type of x, then and use that command, I can see that it is now a float. So Python is dynamically typed. You got to remember that. And we can convert between data types using different functions, str, int, float in parentheses, or bool in parentheses, and that converts it to a boolean or a float or whatever is appropriate. So let's go ahead and start fresh. Let's open up a brand new command prompt, and let's go into our and let's also open idle. Idle is our text editor that comes whenever we're doing an installation on a Windows machine. And if I open up idle, I can create a brand new file. And we're going to run some code here. We're going to write some code here. First of all, we can always do a comment. And we're going to do a comment is just starts with a hashtag sound or pound, and that basically is saying I'm writing a program that's going to convert from inches into feet. Now I'm going to take inches, that's a variable that I've created, is assigned the value of input, enter the number of inches, and we're going to get that prompt from the user. The user is going to enter, we're expecting a numerical value here. Now, it's going to come in inches is going to be a string, but I'm going to convert it. I'm going to say inches is assigned the value of float, and I'm going to take the inches value and convert it to a float that the user has just entered. Now, I can get feet. Feet is going to equal inches divided by 12 because there are 12 inches in every foot. Now I can take and print the value back out to the user. I'm going to say print in parentheses, and then I'm going to have my string. The equivalent in feet is, and then I'm going to print that answer out. I'm going to print, this is going to be a string, and I'll have it start with a single quote, so I end with a single quote, and then I can concatenate it with the feet value, which I've just calculated. Now, feet is going to be a float, but I'm going to convert it back to a string using the str function here. So if I run this program, it will ask the user to enter some data. We're going to do some calculations, and then we're going to print the results back, the equivalent of feet value. So I can save this. I can save it by doing Control S, or I can go to the file option here and do save. Either way, it's going to bring me, I'm going to save everything in our homework folders just before, as we've always done. Homework, I'm going to save it within a lesson 4 folder here, and we can call this give this a simple name. Always call it a .py file here because this is a Python file, and Python is looking for the extension .py. So now that we've saved it, we can run it here using a run and F5, or better yet, I always like to run it from the console. And to do the console, we can open up our console here, and now we need to CD or move to the place where our code that we just wrote is saved. And so here I can move into the documents folder. Within that, I have a homework folder, and within that, I have a lesson 4 folder. I can use cd, I can use the dir commands that we've already learned in navigating and now here I can do Python. I'm going to run the script inches-feet.py. This is going to run the program that we just wrote, and when we run it, it says enter the number of inches, and let's enter a number such as 12.0. Let's do 12.5. And how many inches is that? The equivalent in feet is just over a foot, 1.04, a very long number there. Use the up arrow. I can run this again, and now I'm going to enter the number of inches. I'm going to put 50.123, and the equivalent value here is 4 feet, and we can run our calculation. So we've written a simple conversion problem, and that's a basic demo of we need to convert, sometimes to integers, sometimes to float, sometimes to string, sometimes to boolean. We need to be able to get data from the user, then we need to convert it appropriately, do some simple calculations, and to print the answers back to the user. So go ahead, look at the homework problems in lesson 4 and the solutions and all of the readings and the resources available in this lesson. Thank you very much. This is zebracode.io, lesson 4,